Good afternoon. Let's try that one more time. Good afternoon. Nice. Welcome to the 3-Minute Thesis. My name is Nancy Swanner. I'm a faculty member in the School of Hospitality Business Management in the Carson College of Business, and I'm going to serve as the moderator today. And one thing about me, I'm not a person who uses a script usually, but I have a very detailed script here that I'm going to adhere to as best I can. So if I stumble a little bit, please forgive me. And if I do, I'll just make it up as I go anyway. So it's hard to believe, but this marks the 11th year since 3-Minute Thesis has been a university-wide competition. For more information about the history of the event, the rules, and some of the past winners, please visit 3mt.wsu.edu. Before we go too much further, I would also like to ask that you silence your phones or turn them off completely to not distract our presenters. We'd like to first thank our location host, the College of Veterinary Medicine, for allowing us to use this incredible building. We used it last year and are very grateful that they allowed us to come back again this year. We'd like to recognize our faculty representative, Dr. Amy Roth McDuffie, a math educator and a former Associate Dean of Research and External Funding in the College of Education. Amy, are you in here? Where's Amy? Maybe not. Her role is to interface with others about this event and to ensure that we stay true to the purpose of this event, which is to effectively communicate high-quality research. We'd like to thank the Office of the Provost for today's award money. The winner of today's competition will be the recipient of a $3,000 travel grant for a research conference or conferences of their choice. The runner-up will receive a $1,500 travel grant, and third place will receive a travel grant of $500. All the competitors, of course, get to add this to a line to your CV, and as you become a faculty person, it really is about how many pages are in that sucker, so, you know, lines matter. So just go there. Again, any other information you need to know can be found at 3mt.wsu.edu. Now let's introduce the competitors in the order that they'll present. That order was determined by an online randomizer, and proof of this was given to the competitors. We would like to start by recognizing that Ryan Wagner won the WSU Vancouver event, but was unable to make it to Pullman because he had another competing event. Now, if each of you will stand when your name is called, and you, as the audience, do not have to hold your applause until the end. You can hoot and holler if it's your college's representative as loudly and make it as much fun as we can. So, from the College of Veterinary Medicine, Charles Ugwu. From the College of Education, Kashin Zhang. From the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Elizabeth Oke. From the Carson College of Business, the best college, Josh Groves. From WSU Tri-Cities, Aaron Pelly. From the College of Arts and Sciences, Shamala Gopala Krishnan. From the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture, Duigu Aiden. And finally, from the College of Agriculture, Human and Natural Resource Sciences, Camille Wagstaff. We're welcome. Congratulations on being here. Take a deep breath. You're going to be great in a minute, and we can't wait to hear from you. I'd like to also just do a very quick, brief introduction of our judges who have made time to come and be here this afternoon for this event, and I was here last year, so I know at least one or two of them are repeats, so that's pretty awesome. These 6 individuals seated here, they're in the back row, have a rubric with multiple things for which they're judging, but all include an ability to present well, which is key. You can have the greatest stuff to share, and if you can't get it across, then we got to figure something else out. So demonstrate all those awesome things you know and your ability to present. All of those criteria are on the 3MT website, should you choose to look. We have faculty and staff not currently connected to any one college, and in the spirit of town gown collaboration, we always try to have a community leader every year. If these individuals would please stand as they are introduced. Leading off, we have T. Chris Riley Tillman, WSU Provost and Executive Vice President. His office is providing the money, so you have to be nice to him. Matt Forge, CEO, Pullman Regional Hospital. Don Daniels, incoming chief for the WSU Pullman Police. Kim Kristen, WSU Vice President for Research. Faculty Regent, Judy McDonald. And last but certainly not least, WSU Athletics Deputy Director, Aiku Kebu. Again, thanks, judges, very much for making the time to come and do this. Okay, are y'all ready? Yes. No more killing time here. Okay, here's what's going to happen. We're now going to turn it over to our competitors. And reminding that you, in the audience, that you can find more about their presentations, a variety of things about them out at that website. So, the way this is going to work, I will call each name. The 3-minute timer is up here. I will be turning off my mic, assuming I remember, and handing you a handheld mic for you to begin your presentation. Okay, we good? All right, here we go. We begin with Charles Ugwu from the College of Veterinary Medicine.
What happens if a human being decides to stop eating for an extended period? Well, that person is eventually going to die. So please, make sure to eat well always. Why? Because as living organisms, including humans, livestock, pets, and guess what? Even bacteria that cause disease, we all depend on food to survive. Now, imagine for a moment that a certain harmful bacteria have just entered my body. But it turns out both the bacteria and I depend on the same food to survive. Let's say sandwiches. And by the way, I love sandwiches. But you see, I need my 2 hands to eat a sandwich. But the bacteria doesn't even have hands. So what if I could discover the alternative tool the bacteria intends to use to access my sandwich, which is unique to the bacteria and not even important to me as the host? That is where my research comes in, because with that information, pharmaceutical companies will design drugs to target and destroy that alternative tool, cutting off the bacteria's access to my sandwich, starving the bacteria to death, while I can still go ahead with my beautiful hands to enjoy my sandwich. Take, for example, Coxella bonnetti, a harmful bacteria whose infection during pregnancy results in abortion 50% of the time, and death of the unborn baby 25% of the time, in both humans and livestock. Interestingly, when this bacteria infects the host, it needs glucose to survive. But we also need glucose to survive. So as a therapeutic strategy, we can't just take away glucose from the human body. Otherwise, you kill both the bacteria and the host. And you don't want that. So here's the catch. Humans use hexokinase, a biological tool, to process glucose. Coxella does not. My research seeks to discover the alternative tool Coxella uses. And if it turns out, as we hypothesize, to be something unique to Coxella and not even important to us as the host, we can target that to stop Coxella from utilizing glucose, from surviving, and essentially disarm the bacteria from being able to cause disease. Effectively, we stop the bacteria and we save the host. We believe this approach, which is simple, innovative, but yet very powerful and potent, can be leveraged to control Coxella and other deadly bacteria, especially at a time with rising antibiotic resistance. Because whether you are in science, art, business, education, entertainment, or even politics, we can all agree from the COVID-19 pandemic example that in today's interconnected world, an outbreak of infectious disease anywhere in the world is a threat to public health everywhere in the world. Thank you.
Our next I was just going to be tricky and use this one. Am I okay? Okay. Our next competitor from the College of Education, Kashin Zhang.
Hence Sai, the father of stress, said, "Stress is the spice of life, and the complete freedom from stress is death." Indeed, think about the last time that you are stressed. Maybe it was today, this week, or last month. For me, it was right before this presentation. Stress is normal and sometimes positive, as it can motivate us to reach our goals. However, when we have limited coping resources to handle our stress, the negative side of it would emerge, leading to severe outcomes that influence our psychological and social functioning. Teaching is a highly stressful profession worldwide, from kindergarten to higher education. And high teacher stress will lead to emotional exhaustion, poor health condition, and even leaving the profession. My personal focus is in higher education, especially the stress experienced by a distinct group that many universities in the US depend upon to teach undergraduate classes. They are international graduate students. Compared to domestic instructors, international class instructors, they face greater communication difficulties that relate to language barrier, cultural adaptation, and limited social support. And their negative reactions to those difficulties will lead to their self-doubt, emotional isolation from their teaching, anxiety, and even intention to leave. However, there is a limited research has been conducted on this specific teaching group within the framework of stress and stress coping. And as a result, there is a lack of insight into teaching experience from the mental health perspective. And for us, we don't want to lose any opportunities to support their mental health and teaching effectiveness, right? So, my dissertation aims to uncover the mental health condition of international class instructors by investigating their classroom communication stress. And I will interview with international class instructors whose first language is not English and have no teaching experience before university. Through the interviews, I really want to know how they describe different sources of stress from their classroom communication experience, how they evaluate the impact of different sources of stress. What are their coping processes? And more importantly, what they need or what we can do to better support them with the stress coping. Overall, I hope my research will be a warm beer flight, illuminating the hidden struggle of international class instructors and exploring the path of stress management with them together. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Elizabeth Oke from the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences.
Just like me, I believe there are people here who look forward to the end of the workday. Nothing brings so much joy other than just going home and embracing that couch life. But imagine this. You get home after a long day of work, you're ready to step inside, to rest and relax. But there's a problem. Right in front of your house are two identical doors. One that leads straight into your cozy living room where comfort awaits you, and the other triggers a blaring security alarm that literally wakes the entire neighborhood. The worst part is that the key you have in your hands can fit into both doors. And what this means is that if you fit your key into the right door, then you're home safe and you can enjoy your comfort. But if you fit your key into the other door, then you might be dealing with some chaos. This is exactly what happens with many medications. They do not just provide relief, they also trigger unwanted effects. And so my research is focused on designing a smart key, one that is able to unlock relief while keeping the alarm silent. In our bodies, we have these two identical doors that serve as drug targets. The first, CB1, is mostly found in the brain and can trigger unwanted effects like anxiety and depression. The other, called CB2, is mostly found in the immune cells and helps with fighting diseases. The challenge here is that most drugs do not know the difference. So they fit into both doors and they open them at the same time. And here is where my research comes in. Using computational tools to study the composition and the behavior of these two doors, I am designing a key that fits only the right door, which is the CB2. So far in my research, I've been able to identify minor differences in these two doors. And by leveraging these subtle differences, I can find the perfect key, one that delivers all the benefits from CB2 without the unwanted baggages from CB1. And think of it as upgrading from a regular key to a smart key that works only with the right lock. And if we get this right, then we'll be creating safer and more effective treatment options for several diseases. Because after a very long day of work, you sure deserve to walk straight into comfort and not set off an alarm. And when you take medicines, it should work exactly where it is needed, without unnecessary detours. This is the future I'm unlocking with my research. Thank you.
And in case you missed it the first time, from the greatest college ever, maybe I said that, the Carson College of Business, Josh Groves.
If I had to describe my time in the PhD program in one word, it would probably be, we can all say it together, painful. That's right. While I'm only slightly joking there, starting my journey here at WSU at the peak of the COVID pandemic has caused the topic of pain to be on my mind a lot since starting here. So I started to look at pain, I started to look at how people deal with pain, and I started to look at the medicines that people use to deal with this pain. And I found that there's something very interesting going on with the marketing of these medicinal products. That is that we tend to see a lot of branding and imagery, more like this scary monster from an allergy ad, whereas in the rest of the marketing world, we see this, warm, friendly characters that we've come to know and love throughout our lives, through other industries. And so I wanted to know why the difference, and can this be just as, if not more effective than this? When I initially started testing this, I found that all I had done was proving the pharma industry right, that the reason they're using this threatening imagery is that there tends to be a negative trade-off effect. When you increase the warmth and friendliness of something, the perceived effectiveness tends to go down. And for medicine, effectiveness is the #1 priority, and rightfully so. So largely, the pharma industry has chosen fear over comfort. So the next question I had was, what can still be warm and friendly, yet evoke a sense of competence and effectiveness? And the idea of heroes came to mind, these representations of both goodness and strength. And so I added a cape to my studies, and I ran it again. And this time, I found that a hero, compared to a villain, the hero brand was seen as warmer, as more competent, and drove higher purchase intent. And so why does this matter? Marketing research has shown us time and time again that people develop real relationships with the brands that they associate with, and that there are real feelings attached to these relationships. So what kinds of relationships are we building when we choose to use this hostile imagery? Is it okay to look at someone who's dealing with pain and to compel them to make certain decisions through unnecessary fear-based appeals? My research seeks to find a better, healthier way. I know most people don't look at marketing as a way of making a positive difference in the world, but I'll share that after a recent presentation on this topic, a member of the audience who was a cancer survivor told me that there are some days where something as simple as an extra smile can make all the difference, and that has really stuck with me. There's a lot the pharma industry can do to improve relationships with customers, but I think an easy place for us to start is with the brands and characters that we use to build them. So I truly believe that by choosing more of this instead of this, both businesses and consumers will be better off for it. Thank you.
From WSU Tri-Cities, Aaron Pelly.
Our river is dying. Those words were said recently at a management conference by a member of the Yakima Nation. And what she was talking about is what you see here and the consequences of it. This is water stargrass. It's an aquatic plant, and it dominates the lower Yakima River in Washington. It causes all sorts of problems. It clogs irrigation intakes, it chokes out salmon spawning habitat, and what I research, it drives low oxygen concentrations. So plants respire just like we do. They use oxygen to produce energy. And at night, with no photosynthesis going on, plants can suck a ton of oxygen out of the river. And in the lower Yakima, during the summer, nighttime oxygen is far too low for migrating salmon. Also, climate change is just making this problem worse. So what can we do? Well, mechanical plant removal is one option, and I've been working with Yakima Nation Fisheries and the Benton Conservation District, my partners, to investigate this. They used an aquatic plant harvester to remove water stargrass from 2 sections of the river, one free flowing and one behind a dam, and I monitored the oxygen concentration. And so here's what we found. In the free-flowing section, after plant removal, nighttime oxygen increased a small but measurable amount. However, in the dammed section, the plants that were removed represented a relatively small portion of total plants in that area, and we didn't see an effect on oxygen. However, I was also able to investigate one other plant removal, this time a flow-driven plant removal. So in 2022, in the Yakima, there were very late season high flows that suppressed water stargrass growth through the midsummer. And what I found is that during that period, nighttime oxygen was higher than it had been, and far higher than it had been in any previously measured year. So let's tie this all together. What can we say? Well, mechanical plant removal can be effective at improving low oxygen concentrations. However, it seems only if we manage to remove enough plants. However, also, mechanical removal is extremely labor intensive, and therefore it's limited to relatively isolated areas. However, flow-driven removal can act across a much wider area, and therefore it may be effective at improving low oxygen throughout a river. And lastly, the next step for investigation is to see, can we intentionally create these high flows to control plants and improve oxygen for salmons? Thank you.
From the College of Arts and Sciences, Shamala Gopalakrishnan. The first step's a doozy.
So, how many of you had any sort of medications at least once in your lifetime? All say yes, right? So now I want you to think about what sort of medications you had. Tablets, capsules, injections, and so on. However, these medications are not potent as you think. Think about Tylenol. We are taking 2 tablets for every 4 to 6 hours. Why we need this sort of repetitive medication systems? Because our body has several biological barriers that can stop the drug's penetration and the localization of the drugs. So my research is focused on how we can deliver the drugs to the target site efficiently. And specifically, I'm developing for cancer, brain, and ocular diseases. So to discuss this research idea, I want you all to take my childhood memory by telling a story. There is a movie called Chicken Run. So chickens are trying to escape from a chicken farmland. Obviously. Why? They don't want to be fried in the frying pan or in the soup for dinner or breakfast. So they came up with a plan to build an aeroplane. However, this idea has been known by this chicken farmer, and she was trying to stop them. But the aeroplane design made a probability, and they escaped through the aeroplane to their dreamland. Similarly, I'm not building an aeroplane. In my research, I'm developing a nano carrier which can be loaded with any amount of drug and any sort of drugs. So in the chicken run story, the chickens are carried by the aeroplane. In my research, the drugs are carried by the nanocarriers. Obviously, the villain of my research is the biological barrier. However, I'm a chemist. I can design any nanocarriers with specific size, shape, structural composition that can be targeted the delivery side by passing all these biological barriers and penetrate those biological barriers. So recently I'm working on PVR, that is an ocular disease. So the treatment of this disease is currently only through surgery. But the nanomedicine which I have developed, I have injected in the tail of the mouse, and it circulated all over the body and passed all the biological barriers and reached the retina and releases the drugs. Guess what? My drug worked and the treatment was successful. Similarly, I'm working on other diseases too to find a better cure to save a lot of lives. So tiny carriers shows massive impact and for unmet medical needs to save all the lives. Thank you.
From the Voiland College of Engineering and Architecture, Dewey Gu Iden.
Imagine a tiny engineer, no bigger than your hand, shaping the landscape with nothing but its feet, cheeks, and maybe a few microscopic friends. These are kangaroo rats, animals that live in the harsh desert environmental conditions. These animals build and tunnel burrows that serve as their home, and despite living in loose and weak sand, their burrows are able to withstand the extreme environmental conditions, stay stable and strong for long periods of time. But how? Well, if you look closer, these animals have a secret weapon: microbes. The microbes grow and form biofilms, which are sticky layers or filamentous structures of bacteria and fungi, and the biofilms act as a natural glue between the sand particles, bind them together, and this makes the burrow sand much stronger than the surrounding desert sand. Originally, these microbes are transferred from the cheeks and feet of kangaroo rats, and in return, the microbes use the kangaroo rat feces and other waste that they leave around the burrows as food, participate in soil cycling, and other key nutrient transformations. And this creates a beneficial partnership between the two. Now, you may be thinking, why does this matter? Well, with rapid urbanization, the demand for buildable land is increasing. And in many areas, unstable and weak soil makes construction risky. To improve the soil strength, traditional methods right now rely on cement and chemical additives, and these are costly and environmentally harmful. But what if we look at nature and learn from it? Instead of using random soil microbes, which is a common approach in this field, we focus on the native microbes that already exist in the naturally strong burrow sand. In my research, we identify the key microbes that are responsible for the strength of the burrow sand. Then we test their mechanical strength and select the strongest and dominant ones. And then we grow these selected microbes as biofilms and then combine with clean sand. And the biofilms, the sticky nature of bacteria, the filamentous structures of fungi bind the sand particles together individually, and then this makes the treated sand stronger than the clean sand. So now combining it all together and how it can be applied for the future is that if a tiny kangaroo rat and its microscopic allies can transform loose desert sand into structurally strong and stable burrows, imagine what we can achieve if we apply the same principles to our own engineering challenges. We can draw inspiration from nature, use these burrow biofilms, and we can help build stronger, sustainable foundations for the future, and we can help protect areas from landslides, erosions, and more. Thank you.
And our final presenter today, from the College of Agricultural, Human, and Natural Resource Sciences, Camille Wagstaff.
Thank you. Are you as scared as I am by recent food quality and prices? And do you think farmers are seeing a cent of that? If we could decrease crop prices, if we could drastically reduce pesticide use while still increasing crop yields, if we could have less poison on our food, if we could have an environment that was healthier, if you could, would you? And what would that look like? For decades, farmers have oversprayed pesticides. And in Washington, our most valuable crops are sprayed for the beet leafhopper. Now, these cute little insects don't just hop from plant to plant, but they inject viruses and bacteria as they feed, similar to a mosquito spreading malaria. So when farmers see these diseases manifested, they get scared and they want to spray, they want to do something. And what we need to do is pinpoint when that highest risk is when these insects are going to enter your crops and spread those diseases. And that's exactly what I do. I perform molecular gut content on these leafhoppers that we collected all over Washington, and I've expanded my collaboration network to include Idaho, Oregon, and Colorado. And what we found is really exciting. There are new species that we didn't know they were feeding on, and these results are shared with the WSU's decision aid system. And since the adoption of these precision pest management methods, just the potato industry alone saves $9 million annually. Imagine if we spread that to other crops. We could have a future where our food is safer, our environment healthier, and our farmers more empowered. I went really fast.
Okay, presenters. You guys killed it. You killed it. Weren't they awesome? You know, for those who are, you know, kind of in a doom and gloom mode and worried about our future and what our country and our world are going to look like, they didn't get a chance to see you today. We're going to be fine. We're going to be just fine. I just really, truly believe that. So here's what's going to happen now. The judges are going to complete their forms, and then I'm going to take those forms, or Brandon's going to take those, somebody's going to take those forms, and we're going to go to this private, undisclosed island where you have to have a secret handshake and, you know, the right eye color. I don't know. Actually, we're going down the hall. And they will do some number crunching on those score sheets. So everybody just sit tight, visit, relax, and we'll be right back in here in just a few minutes. Thank you. Provost Riley Tillman, come on down. You're the next contestant. No, you're going to help. You are going to present these awards, so we might as well have you come on down to start with. And again, thank you to you and your office for being the sponsor of this event. Okay, are we ready? Yes. I want to thank everybody, first of all, who helped pull off this event, the Provost's office for their support, faculty 3MT representative Amy Roth McDuffie, and somebody is here representing her today because okay, there you go. Thanks for being here. And various staff, and I want to call that staff out. It's not in my script, but yeah, here we go. You know, Haley, KP, Brandon, thanks. You guys, you worked with us last year. They just do a great job. So thank you very much. Immediately following this event, you could certainly come down and quickly congratulate the presenters as you choose, but we also have to work in some time for some photos and some media stuff, so you might have to play that a little bit, but there are some snacks out there, so if you needed to kill a little bit of time, there are some refreshments out there. So, Provost Riley Tillman is here to help me present these awards. I'm going to announce the top 3 winners in no particular order, and I would ask them to join me down here. Dewey Gu Iden. Elizabeth O'Kay. And Charles Ugru. I don't know. Do we have awards? Or do we just shake hands and take pictures and smile on cue?
Do we have like a giant check? No, but.
Okay, so the answer is no.
We're shaking hands. $3,000 travel grant for first place,
Yeah.
$1,500 for second, $500 for third.
So we didn't get $3,000 in ones? And
We should. We'll do it next year.
Haley, KP, come on. What do you, that would have been great.
In quarters.
While you have the mic, would you like to say anything besides that?
This was I've never seen this before. It was wonderful. You all were exceptional. I mean, this was
incredible.
Was difficult from a judging perspective. I wish I had a pinch of your presentation talent and ability at your, it's absolutely stunning. So, it's just incredibly impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. All right, just a reminder that the third place winner receives a $500 research conference and travel money grant. And our third place winner is Dewey Gu Iden. As Brandon said, the second place winner receives $1,500 in the same kind of a grant, and the winner will receive $3,000 for being the champion of WSU's 11th 3-minute thesis competition. Drum roll, it seems kind of like somebody's got to have some rhythm in here. Okay, remember, you can stick around, you can mingle, you can hang out, you can have snacks. You know I am. I'm in complete control here, and for a control freak, this is just right up my alley.
This is not proving business is the best college.
No. Whoa. Whoa. Challenge accepted. And this year's winner, Elizabeth Oakey. Again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, judges. Feel free to mix and mingle, have some refreshments. Otherwise, enjoy the beautiful spring day in Pullman today. Thank you. Go Cougs.